place where industries have found a home.
The contribution of the GDP for Kiambu County is close to 50% because of the number of industries that are there.
A place where history is seldom forgotten.
Initially it was a military camp, later it was converted to be a hotel.
And a place where Hollywood has visited more than once.
The Tarzan was acted here also, on the other side of the falls.
No, we're going to stay. And we're going to make it the best coffee farm in East Africa.
We hit the ground running as Area Code showcases a town whose history dates back more than a century, as commerce, a people, and the lush green environment converge into an area many now call home. This week's episode of Area Code takes you to Thika town. The journey to Thika begins on the 8-lane expansive superhighway aptly named after the town. The Thika superhighway soon paves way to a more quiet, a more unassuming town, where people go about their business unperturbed by the rich history that this place has to offer. Right in the middle of this town that was commissioned 97 years ago stands a clock tower that has indeed stood the test of time. If Thika's modern tale is to be told, then perhaps this is where it all began. The town was given status in 1924 by the British colonial government, who saw the area fit for game hunting and leisure. Thika was the place where the elite white highland settlers would come during the weekend to drink beer and converse with their compatriots who lived kilometers away from Nairobi.
Around 1918, 1919, the railway reached Thika, the railway line, because it was completed by 1920 because they did Nanuki in 1922. So when the railway opened this place, now more people came. There were sisal plantations around Juja, coffee plantations. Anglo-French came and started planting pineapples. So all these economic activities are the ones which have brought Thika where it is.
But the story of Thika dates further back to a time in history where the area served the interests of two native Kenyan communities.
Long before the white man came, this was a bartering market between the Kambas and the Kikuyus. This is where they used to meet and exchange goods. It used to be barter. The Kambas would come with their livestock, salt, and then the Kikuyus would come with the bananas and whatever, and tobacco. This is where they used to meet and actually do trade.
But the barter trade was short-lived. At the turn of the 19th century, a great famine swept the country, forcing many pastoralist communities to invade Thika in search of water for their livestock. The Kikuyu, the Akamba, and the Maasai clashed for the natural resources contained in the region. The ensuing battle between the three communities, largely to gain control over River Chania and River Thika, saw many lives lost. Many of those killed in battle were buried in unmarked graves in now modern-day Thika. This is what many believe led to the naming of the area as Thika, an altering of the Kikuyu word which means to bury.
The Kikuyu say it is Thika, which means bury, because some time back there was what we would call an inter-clan war here between the Kambas and the Kikuyus, and those who died were actually purported to be buried around here.
That was more than a century ago, and the town has kept its name even though life in Thika now is far more different than it was back then. Thika was eventually elevated to a municipality in 1924. Back then, it was popular among the British white settlers who appreciated its locality within Kenya's tropical highlands. The town served as a convenient resting point between Nairobi and the settler farms upcountry. It is for that reason that in 1908, the now famous Blue Post Hotel was started. This is where it all began. 5 grass-thatched roof structures pinned atop a hill along the then dusty Thika road. And over the years, the hotel's metamorphosis has been well documented. The Blue Post Hotel, currently marking its 113th year of existence, sits on a 32-acre piece of land.
Oh, it have 5 wards.
David Kuria, one of the longest-serving employees at the establishment, recounts how the hotel got its name.
The hotel was owned by the whites. Those were the patrons of these hotels. They used to have horses. That's where the word post came, because they had to tie their horses in the bar. They tie their horses as they come in for a drink, or 10 for the tea, or 4, or in the evening as they come from the farms. That's why it's being called Blue Post, because it was initially having posts instead of these walls.
The posts, which were blue in color, have now been covered by ropes, but they still stand at the exact place they did more than 100 years ago. Within that time period, hundreds of people have visited the Blue Post Hotel, some for its delicacies, others for its rich history, and perhaps even more people for its scenic view. The Blue Post Hotel boasts of having the iconic Chania Falls within its compound. Many believe the old pioneer settlers needed a place to stay on the journey north from Nairobi during the early colonial days. The Chania Falls, birthed from the convergence of the Chania River and Thika River, provided the best location to set up the hotel.
It was used to be owned by a man known as Edward Sargent. He was a Jew. After the Second World War, he left the army and joined the industry of the hotel.
Edward Sargent's name continues to remain as a hallmark at the hotel even to this day. Sargent acquired the premises from its initial owner, Captain Ward, who did much of the landscaping of the place.
But the Blue Post Hotel was not only known as a leisure resort for British colonial settlers who at the time were in East Africa. This particular site was also infamous for hoarding Africans to participate in World War I and World War II. Many of them would be detained in houses where we stand right now for several days, weeks, and even months before they were sorted out and shipped out of the country to Burma or India to participate in both world wars.
It is estimated that nearly 5,000 Kenyans were brought to these quarters annually. They were cramped into tiny rooms with no electricity or proper ventilation. Many died here before even getting the chance to make the trip overseas to fight in the 2 world wars. But that is a past the hotel struggles to rid itself of even to this day. Luckily, the establishment has also had its fair share of good tidings that has on multiple occasions seen the glare of Hollywood cameras visit this place. Coming up after the break,
We are able to produce 45,000 liters per hour of juice that we are getting into the market.
The first assembly point of motor vehicles was, by then it was called Leland Obion, from Britain, was established in Thika.
Jua kali tunafaa tupewe, yani tutafutiwe kiwanja iko mahali kila mtu in Kenya akipitia anatupata mahali pale.
but before we head for that break, here is this week's construction tip.
When you hear about Mabati rolling mill, the main plant or the main value addition that we do is the cold rolling, which we do at the cold rolling mills in Mariakani also. After that, to increase the lifespan of this material, we do what we call the metal coating, where we add now the aluminum zinc coating. If we are maybe building in places like Diani, where there is a lot of salty, maybe some salty water or some acidic rain. We have to use a higher coating, which maybe in technical terms we might say it is, you might hear of AZ85, you might hear of AZ100. A customer mainly will give specifications, where also, of course, our costing will also depend on this coating that we put. For industrial purposes, you might find us using mainly AZ150.
Yeah, Kenyan started in 1982. By then, natural juices were not very common in the country. That is when the investment for filling lines came in, and need for expansion. When we moved to Thika, that is when the company invested in a mode fruit extraction line, whereby we are buying the fruits from the farmers, then doing the extraction and ends filling. This assures us of the product we are putting to the shelf or to our consumers. We are able to produce 45,000 liters per hour of juice.
We have an array of profiles. For the industrial profiles, maybe for the making of the godowns, there's a building you want it to be there maybe for the next even 30 years. So you will not use maybe a sheeting that might not stay for that long. You have to use what I would say a more heavy duty or a more thicker material. And that is where we will prefer the IT910. That is where we prefer the trim fruit profiles.
Yeah, we partnered with MRM on quite a number of construction works. MRM is a well-established company. Two, they have quality product, which we have ventured in. We attest to that. Over time, we know the quality of their product. Most crucial is the timeline for delivery. The current expansion that we are doing with them, the delivery period promised is actually on point. We are now in a phase of expanding our warehousing, and the time duration before you expand and hiring of the warehouses, hiring becomes more expensive. The product they give you product to suit your needs.
We have different profiles and products for every mwananchi. We have products for dumuzas, that's unpainted, which is fairly affordable, if I may say so. And then if you go that the pre-painted mabati, the more stylish, the more appealing, it becomes more expensive as you go higher. So the premium product, I would say, it's the lifestyle brand, which is the stone-coated product.
Building Solutions, the main plant is here, which is the Nairobi Service Center. Of course, we have some other service centers also, where we have also some machines, like in Thika. We have Thika Service Center, where you have some machines. We also have Nakuru Service Center. We also have Eldoret Service Center. In those service centers, we have machines also where we do the conversion of the coils into the sheets and the accessories.
The Chania and Thika Falls within Thika town provided the best location to film the movie of one of Hollywood's greatest fictional characters, Tarzan. Filmmaker Gordon Scott's adaptation of Tarzan saw a crew descend on the falls in Thika for a month-long production of the movie.
The Tarzan was acted here also, on the other side of the falls, where you see the actor was in the middle of the bridge. It is on the other side of the river.
But if Thika is not known for hosting movie sites, then perhaps it's more recognized for being one of Kenya's leading commercial centers. From textiles and leather companies to macadamia to motor vehicle industries, the town has been a hotbed of commerce. During the 18th century, Thika consisted of just plains, bush and thicket. But at the turn of a new century, things changed. Shortly after the railway line from Nairobi reached Thika in 1913, the area was opened up to business by a growing population of Asian settlers who started businesses in the area and white settlers who began farming. Sisal and pineapple farming quickly took root in Thika. The first pineapple farm in the area was established by the Harris family. A white settler by the name Allen Harris relocated to Kenya from South Africa to expand his business. The Harris family tried planting pineapple in now modern-day Parklands Estate in Nairobi, but the fruit failed to grow. Harris then tried planting the same fruit in Thika to much success. Successive colonial settlers took up planting of the fruit, and in 1949, Kenya Caners Limited Company was established. In 1965, Kenya Caners was bought out by Del Monte, a company which remains among the top 5 global exporters of pineapple products to this day. In 1992, Kenyan Industries was started, rivaling Del Monte's production of natural juices. The healthy business competition is what has made Thika home to the region's largest production plants. Machines run seamlessly at one of the production companies for natural juices in Thika. Here, only the best fruit make it to the final stage of production.
We are able to produce 45,000 liters per hour of juice that we are getting into the market.
It's a process which begins by selecting fruits which are often hoarded for a period of time before they ripen. Once they are ready, they are carefully sorted by nearly 400 employees at this facility.
So when we moved to Thika, that is when the company invested in a mode fruit extraction line, whereby we are buying the fruits from the farmers, then doing the extraction and ends filling. This assures us of the product we are putting to the shelf or to our consumers. So we're sure of what we are giving our consumers in the market.
Most of the Pick and Peel brand, as well as the Afia brand of juices, are produced here every day.
So Thika has more advantage, especially on the fruit catchment areas, because most of the fruit is coming from, mangoes are coming from the Tana River Delta, which is on the Thika-Garissa highway. So it's, the access to us is much easier than being in any other town. And for the other fruits, avocado, we are getting most of them from the Mount Kenya region. And the carrots, because we are processing carrots here, we have passion, we have pineapple. We're in a pineapple growing zone, so we're getting pineapple from the local community. So Thika has more access to the fruits that we need for our products.
The plant not only helps add flavor, but also finances to the county of Kiambu, where several such industries have found a home. Alfred Wanyoike, who serves as the chairperson of the Thika business community, believes the town's commercial potential is enormous.
Actually, Kiambu, it is straightforward, gives 60% of all the revenue collected in Kiambu County. Comes from Thika. If I tell you, in Thika town, this small town you see, we have 46 banks. 46 banks. So that one, what does that one tell you? Branches, different banks, 46 in Thika town. Not outside Thika town. That one can tell you what I mean.
But the economic strength portrayed about the area is not felt by all. Over 200 informal business traders along this street say business is slow, despite Thika being a commercial hub.
Jua kali tunafaa tupewe, yani tutafutiwe kiwanja iko mahali kila mtu wa in Kenya akipitia anatupata mahali pale. Juu kusema ukweli hatujajulikana tangia tukuje hapa Thika, inakuwa ni jina jua kali, lakini hatujatambulikana kama Kamukuji vile wako pale. Ukitoka Nyeri unajua iko wapi. Hapa tuko unasikianga iko, lakini hakuna hapa.
Despite the concerns, Thika remains open for business for anyone willing to invest. It's a reputation that has earned Thika the moniker, the Birmingham of Kenya.
The first assembly point of motor vehicles was, by then it was called Leland Obion, from Britain, was established in Thika. We have the leather industries, leather processing. We have it in Thika. These are industries which came from outside and established themselves here. We have like Bidco Africa. We are proud. We are the people who host Bidco Africa. It is here in Thika with us. We have Del Monte. Part of it is, in fact, Del Monte, everything comes from Thika, the employees. We have bread making. We have wheat threshing. We have everything.
About 100 small-scale industries and about 20 major factories still have their main plants in Thika, a town which now boasts of a population of over 279,000 people, up from just 4,500 in 1948, according to the national census. Thika's fame spreads far and wide and has been the basis of numerous books written by colonial settlers in the region. One such book, The Flame Trees of Thika, was even adopted into a TV series.
Yes, I remember. Best coffee land in East Africa, didn't it say?
Which was acted in Thika in the late 1970s.
I thought we could plant an avenue through here, join up with a feeder road to Thika. Perhaps an orchard near the house. And then solid coffee as far as the other boundary.
The growing modern metropolis, situated not too far away from Nairobi, comprises of an amalgamation of cultures, traditions, and history, which Thika town hopes to carry with it many years to come. For Area Code, my name is Timothy Otieno.